Here we are, back at it again. Now, I recorded an episode Wednesday to publish Wednesday, but I didn't like it. I felt like I was just rambling and I wasn't talking about nothing. That's how I felt. So today is Friday. So as I was just reviewing Wednesday and living Thursday, I'm like, I need to publish it anyway, right? Because it's not about if I'm satisfied with every episode, it's about being consistent, showing up, right? UFC fighter is going to lose, but it's about showing up. It's about getting back into training. It's about reviewing, okay, what went wrong? What can we do to possibly make it better, to avoid some of the pitfalls, right? So it's about, you need those losses so that you can learn. And so I'm going to tag that on to this because we can't stop, right? We're not going to win them all, okay? And it's not about winning them all. It's about getting up and getting out there every day. It's not about whether we win or lose. It's how we play the game, all right? So before we jump into that, I do want to touch on, because this has been plaguing me for a long time. Like, I feel like all of my life, well, not all of my life, but once I left, right? So this idea of community, right? Community is very important. Like, it's very important. And I see it, I run back into it time and time again. And I was stripped from my community. I was stripped and taken from my community, so to where I was never, it was like, all right, you grow up and you guys know, all right, I get evicted. I believe it was probably 14 or 15. I think it was around like 14 or 15, because I couldn't work. I know I wasn't 16, and I don't think I was going to be turning 16 anytime soon. So it was probably like 14, 15. So it was all good, but I left East Baltimore. When I go to South Baltimore, I'm with my cousins. My cousins, they grew up in South Baltimore. So it was like, yo, it's still, you with your cousins, so you're still a part of a community, and you're accepted in their community, So it was good. But then I left, and I believe, like, once I left Baltimore, that was like the end of my community. And remember, like, community is big. So even during those college years, like my first maybe 3 or 4 years, I just stayed on campus. And I had a little job here and there, but I would just get on the bus. I believe it was the number 3. Number 3 took you into downtown Charleston, and then I would walk. I believe I worked at Burger King. That was probably a mile or 2 from downtown Charleston. So I worked at Burger King, but mainly I worked at the mall. So I worked at like Macy's and Kaufman's. Kaufman's was a variant of Macy's. Now, I'm not sure if they have any stores still in the United States, or if it all converted over to Macy's. But so those were my jobs. I just stayed at the mall, and I did a little bit of telemarketing, but it was just a walk. So I believe it was probably like a mile, because when I went back home to Baltimore recently, I drove down I had to drive to my hotel, and on the way to my hotel was my middle school. So driving that, I believe it was like maybe 1.2 or 1.5 miles from my old house. But then we moved. So I would say that walk was probably like a 1.7 miles. So then that gives me perspective. So I would say the walk from downtown to my jobs were around a half a mile to a mile walk from downtown. So that was it. And you walk back to the bus stop, you got on the bus, and you just took it all the way back to campus. Now on campus, you have a whole bunch of community on campus, but I was in the practice building. I was in the music practice building practicing. Like I wasn't good. You're not good enough. Like I wasn't good enough to be out there playing yet. So I still had to grind it out. So you have all of these things going on, but look, I gotta practice. But you have that community going on. But the downside of community, a college type of community in a small town like Charleston, is that most of your people are leaving. People are leaving, but you still have it's still some form of community though. Because the jobs that I got were based on relationships that I had built because of college. When I went into teaching, I knew teachers already in the system that were willing to vouch for me, that were, hey, Bo, come on down. Oh, and oh, are you such and such a student? And oh yeah, you know him. And so you had that going on in every field. But it was still a disconnect to the people who actually grew up in Charleston. Right? They knew more of the scene than I did. I just was getting glimpses and pieces. So then you fast forward, and now we're in the Carolinas, and there's no community. There is no community. You don't know anyone. You don't have anybody that's going to vouch for you. You don't have anybody that's going to, hey, oh man, you looking for this, yo? Oh, you need that? Right? But as I look at my friends back home in Baltimore, a lot of the different things that I would like to get into, I could if I grew up there. Because remember, once I left, I mean, people are dying. People are going to jail. People are just doing whatever, right? I have 1 to 10 people that I can go and see. And I remember when I knew hundreds of people, that I could go see hundreds of people. And those hundreds of people gets dwindled down to 10. And it makes a difference. It really does. If I want to get into photography now, I'm gonna put up an ad. I don't even have any Facebook friends here. So it's not like I can just put it on Facebook. I can just put it on Instagram. And then I have friends and family and their nieces and their nephews and their friends and their family and their nieces and their nephews. And they're like, oh, Bo is in photography, or Bo does videos. You got your up and coming nephew or niece. They rapping. I need to get into a studio. Oh, Bo has a studio, right? I don't have those things. And it just translates to everything. No matter what I want to get into, I don't have the community to do it on a local level. So now I have to put it out and just see who responds. It could be somebody in who knows where. right? But ultimately, I need to build that community and that presence here in Charlotte. No matter what it is, you need community. I would say you need community. If you want to start fixing houses, you want to start cutting grass, you want to start doing whatever, you need people there. You need someone there to vouch for you, to say, hey, this guy is legit. This guy's not going to rip you off. This guy is going to do the work. This guy is reliable. This guy's not going to kill you. This guy's not going to rape you. Like, you need that. And without it, you can still find it. I mean, you can still go. There's platforms where you can go and build a presence for yourself. So I'm not saying that you can only work in the town that you grew up in, but studies have shown that normally people, whatever school they go to, that usually if that environment can sustain them, that's where they work. And you just build up that network. And the wealthy, the rich, and the famous, I would say what do they call them? It's not upper echelon. It's something else that has this, because it's not fame, but it's like rich and something else. But I know it's not this probably might be like the elite or something like that. They kind of have a stronghold in whatever town that they're in. And they go off to these schools to build up their network. Because if you're going to Harvard or Princeton or Yale, and there was another school, there's a big business school on the East Coast. I want to say it might be in Philadelphia or somewhere near there. But you go to these schools and you start to meet people, other elite from other states and other towns. So then now when you go back to your town, depending on what the business that you're in, you can network with others. You can get that internship. You know, somebody who's over at Coca-Cola. He's now the vice president. You have people in Kellogg's, or you got somebody over in Hershey. No matter what the profession, no matter what the business is, I mean, your network is now built. And these are some of the things that this stuff is important, but is not taught to the regular guy, the regular Joe. What do they call him? Worker, contractor Joe or something. You know, every presidential election, there's a guy named Joe, and he works. It's his own business. No matter what he's doing, he's cutting grass, he's washing cars or windows. He has his own business. He's a contractor. He's doing something, right? He got a mom and pop shop. But like, that's the stuff that's not really taught. And I feel like because of it, that's where you have a lot of wanderers. Because in my videos, I'm going to start addressing some of the problems with the youth. And I have a strategy that I'm actually implementing now. I have a strategy. But the end game of that strategy is bringing awareness and showing an alternative. Because I'm not seeing it. Because that's the problem that's going on right now with our youth. And I say our youth, I mean the low-level youth. Doesn't matter the race. But our youth, they don't have a concept of the future. If you're 17, 19, you don't believe that you're going to be 38 or you're going to be 44. And what does that look like? What will you have or what will you not have at 44? They don't really believe that they're going to be 65 and 70. And what does that look like? If you're 19, you're not thinking about, okay, when I'm 37, what will I have or what will I not have? How can I prepare and be ready for when I'm 37? Like, they're not thinking about that. Because if they were, the world would reflect it. The world would reflect it. And it's, for me, it's the lack of community. But once you have a community, well, then what's being taught? What is the culture of this community? And where does it end? Like, where does it lead? And are you happy with that ending? A lot of our youth, I mean, they say, you ask them, oh, what you want to be? And you'll get all of these different jobs, right? Well, have you done any internship there? Have you done any, take your kids to work and you're just there for 2 weeks out of the summer? Let's say you want to become whatever, doesn't matter. An electrician, a plumber, a rapper, a football player, a basketball player, a coach, doesn't matter. For 2 weeks out of the year, well, you're going to actually live the life and actually be around and be forced to actually do it, so that like, nah, I really don't want to be that. Because a lot of us believe that we want to be something until we actually do it, and then it's like, nah, that's not really what I want to do. Some people, they do know what they want to be, and once they get into those positions and those roles, they are happy. But that sense of community, you need it. You need it. It's very important. So, that was the intro for this first half. Now, the next part, I'm going to just cut in that episode that I did Wednesday, which, like I said, I don't like it, but it's all right. It's okay. It's okay to lose. It's okay to reflect and say, okay, what could I have done better? And that's what I'm going to do. So today is Friday. The episode will be out today. Someone out there will be listening. And look, I thank you. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for just hanging with me, hanging out, listening. And I'm just able to, I'm just being a part, or I have the ability to just kind of talk you through an hour or an hour and a half, 2 hours of your day or of your week, however long it takes to digest these things. So thank you for allowing me to do that. Thank you for letting me be myself. So yeah, that's that. And I can't, because I've already done the intro. I've already done the outro on that other one. So I'm not going to do any, I'm not going to do an outro. But we're just going to just jump right into the episode Wednesday. And boom, we're going to be back at it. What is it? Next Wednesday. All right, we're just going to just try to be as consistent as possible, and then we'll get into the dentist thing. The reason why I couldn't is because I had to move my studio, and I believe I talked about that, so you'll hear it again. All right. Here we go. We're jumping back into Wednesday's episode.
Let me introduce you to Bo Miles, a unique and likable guy. Everyday life, friends and family makes up the artist's dream.
Here we are, another episode of the Artistry of Podcast. I am he that will not be now. Here we are. Look, man. Let's go ahead and set that down. If you don't know me by now, you will never get to know me. We're back. Another episode. So, a lot has been going on. Look, I got inspired by one of my little homies, Omari. I believe his page is like Omari You Funny. That's like his YouTube page. And me and him, we got a chance to work together, and I'm just seeing his grind. He just out there and he just grind, he just pushing forward, and it's like boom, like yo, he growing. Another inspiration is the homie RJ. Just watching him, grind, and then we got Esteban, another guy who's just out there grinding and just picking up one follower, one subscriber, just one person at a time, and it's just been real inspirational. It's just being able to watch these guys just stay consistent, keep their head down, like the big homie Fizz say, look, man, you gotta put your work in, like yo, you gotta put your work in, like yo, man, you gotta be about that work, all right, like yo, no excuses. Like, yo, are you grinding? Are you putting in that work, that hard work, right? So, just these guys, and there's so many more, right? So many more that I could name. But, people who I'm actually close enough to actually like see them. It's like we talk about, we don't, but, people talk about the miracles of Jesus, but just imagine being able to sit or to be able to walk with him, to be able to be like, oh yeah, yo, Jesus down to Nazareth, yeah, man, I was just talking to him just the other day, so it's like that, you're just looking at these guys and it's not like they have millions of followers. GM is another one. That I've seen like, yo, just crawl from the mud of like, yo, no followers, no subscribers, right? And like, yo, just boom, just one match at a time. You feel me? But every day playing, right? Every day just being consistent, right? And we opened up with that last week, but I think consistency is like, that's what you don't see, right? But it's there. So, I'm just grateful for these type of guys and being able to watch them, because it's like, all right, boom, now it's time to say goodbye to all my Negro friends. So it's like, yo, boom, man, let's get it in, right? So what do we have? This one is not going to be a long episode because I have to move. I got to move my studio around. I have to actually move it from one room to the next because like I said a few episodes ago, like, yo, man, I'm going to really get serious on trying to grow this podcast, right? Like because I don't want I don't want to blow up from tragedy, right? The Wyclef effect, right? Wyclef is putting in that work in Haiti for years, right? But then he doesn't really blow up until that tragedy. As far as, of course he's on his own, he's blew up. But far as his Haiti work, like that didn't get any attention. And I'm not even sure if he was trying to, right? So even if he was trying to keep it low key, once I think it was an earthquake. Maybe the earthquake caused a flood, right? I mean, this was a few years ago, but boom, he was just tossed into the forefront. And then he got flooded in with a whole bunch of eyes, and then from those eyes was a lot of money, millions and millions of dollars that was now flowing through his hands, right? So, I don't want that. I don't want something, because I was, of course, I'm always on my Tupac and Biggie, but the Joe Rogan thing has allowed me to distance, like not distance myself from all of these things, but to distance myself from all of these things. You dig? It's like, look, man, you got your own problems, right? So, I mean, I can't be worried about if if someone doesn't want to give Joe Rogan a couple extra $1 million, like, I can't worry about that. It's like, we ain't eating. So as I'm going down my YouTube experience, and I'm getting these videos, right? And there's only a few that I even check up. Mainly The Art of Dialogue. I mean, he even popped up on Google, far as just documenting and just getting a clear picture of Tupac's life, time, and the times, like the whole life, and I can't say the life and times, but mainly around the period. Like, he's interviewing massive people around the time of Biggie and Tupac's death, and just getting all of the different stories, and you can hear all of the different points of views, right? And it's like, one of the things that came up, and these type of things are like irrefutable. This is like having the what do they call it? I don't know if it's the golden stone, but ultimately what it does is it's a way of moving the goalpost around. Now, what I'm talking about is this idea of fate and destiny. And just to speak about it, you have to go back to the Greeks and Greek mythology. And it's a good thing. Like, if you just think about humanity and how we try to deal with certain things, how we try to understand certain things. So we say, years ago, and I do want to take my time so that I'm clear. So the idea is fate and destiny. Now, it's you can move it around. No matter no matter what happens at the end, that was fate. That was destiny. So at the end of the race, because we have a start and we have a finish. No matter what happens, at the end of it, boom. That was your destiny, right? That was fate. And it doesn't matter if you're Tupac or Biggie or Uncle Charles, right? I don't know how Uncle Charles died, but I know that, he misses his Uncle Charles, y'all. So we could say like, yo, or let's go with Uncle Greg, however he died. We don't know, but however a person died, we can say that if they would have did this, 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 and this, they wouldn't have died at that point. We can say that. And we can say it because it doesn't matter, because they're already, like, they're gone. Like, they're dead. Or let's say a person gets beat up. And then you say, well, if you would have been doing your push-ups every day like I told you to, and you've been practicing your boxing or your kickboxing or whatever you believe, whatever the culture is that you come from, if you've been practicing that, you wouldn't have got beat up. But everyone can be beat. Like everyone. And it goes to the, rock, paper, scissors, or earth, water, fire. Like one can beat one, but it can't beat all. Right? That's the idea. So I'm dealing with, I make a comment, I'm like, along the lines of, you can't escape your fate. You can't escape your destiny. And someone talks about their actions. Well, if Tupac would have did this, if Biggie would have did this, then they would still be alive. And it's okay. Because ultimately, what we say is for ourselves. Ultimately, what we say is for ourselves. So, if you want something, and this is the thing, it really doesn't matter your beliefs. You can believe what you want to believe. There's always multiple ways to obtain something, but what you're trying to obtain is the same as something that you already have. For instance, let's say I want a Centenario Lamborghini. I want a Centenario, and let's say they cost $1 million, right? I'm not really sure what's the price now, but let's just give it $1 million. And I don't have $1 million. So there's multiple ways that I can get a Centenario. Or let's say I want $1 million. There's multiple ways to get $1 million. But once you possess it, it's the same as having dirt in your hands. The Centenario is the same as the dirt. It's the same as anything that you can touch and that you have. The more it's accessible, the more numbers are in circulation, the more chances that you have it. But let's say everyone has a centenario. Then what? So now we're battling something else. It's not just to own an object, right? Like it's something. There's another level back that we want. And once you get into all of those things, and you throw all of these people into the mix, and you just throw all of these things, then it's like, will you ever? So from starting point, will you ever have that centenario? And a person will say, well, it's in my fate, right? Or it's my destiny to become a millionaire. And I just look at things like, man, there's millions, there's billions of people who want to be a millionaire. What makes them any different from you? Right? And this just goes back to, these are just the stories that we tell ourselves. But really they don't matter. Like they really don't matter. I feel like, look, as long as you get closer to the center, right? That's how I look at things. Is no matter what you want, it doesn't matter. You want to become a famous basketball player or a famous football player, right? Like NFL or the NBA. You want whatever. It could. I don't care. If you just want to become an electrician. You just want to own your own lawn care business. Like, it doesn't matter. So then we take you out of, so if we look at like a bullseye, like a target, like one of those target boards. I'm not even sure what they're called, but we all have the image in our mind. We think of a bullseye. And you put that in the center. And then we're going to take you off of the board completely. Now, some people are born on the board, even though they might be at the very tip of it, at the very end, the border. They're on a thin line, but nonetheless, they're a lot closer than some other people, right? Because you have millions of people who all want to own their own landscaping business, their own mowing business. Or they just want to become an electrician. Like they don't even want to own a business. They want to work for somebody. It doesn't matter which one. Some people are born on the board. So when they grow up, it's going to be a lot easier. It's going to be a lot easier for them to get to the bullseye. Even though they're born away from that bullseye, they're still on the board. Now, the people that are born off of the board is going to have a harder time to get to the board. Right? But as long as you have a target and you follow the North Star, boom, let's say you're going to get to it. And in your lifetime, let's say you finally get on the board. And then you actually make it to the bullseye, right? So we're talking about lawn care. You want your own lawn care business, so you start. You're like, all right, I gotta get a lawnmower and a weed eater and some hinges. You got to get all of this stuff, but you don't have anything. So you get a job whatever job you can get. You're going to get a job at McDonald's or Burger King or whatever. You're going to get whatever job you can get. And depending on your position, like if you have a family, and that's going to make it harder because now you also have to provide for them as well as get all of these items that you need to at least get on the board. Once you have all of these things, then you got to start getting customers. But we're not even worried about that. We're talking about you getting all of your pieces, at least your lawnmower. You get that. And you got to have a vehicle. You got to have some way to transport it. But let's say you just start, look, I'm just going to start in my neighborhood, right? So you need that lawnmower. You also got to pay the rent. You also got to do all of the things that you're responsible for. So you just set aside, look, I'm going to set aside 10% of the cost. Let's say a lawnmower is $150. If I get paid weekly, I'm going to set aside $20. Or let's say a good lawnmower. It doesn't really matter if you just want to get started. So if you can get a lawnmower for $100, then it's going to take you 5 weeks if you're just putting that 20 aside. So let's say you start trying to accumulate everything at the end of summer. So this way you're getting all of your supplies, but it's not seasoned. It's not seasoned for it. So now you have a lot of time to get these things. You're just putting 20 at a time. You're getting all of your supplies. It's September, and boom, you're knocking it out. And then eventually you get it. And you get the next thing. And then 5 weeks later, you get something else. And before you know it now, spring is starting to rev up. You got your lawnmower. You got your weed eater. You're putting the word out, hey, I will cut your grass. You don't know pricing. You don't know anything. You got your lawnmower. But let's say you're not even in a place, like you're in Baltimore City. Like, yo, no one needs your services. You probably got to go out in the suburbs for that. But then it's going to cost you to even get there, right? Plus you got a family that you got to support. So if you make it or if you don't, we can just chalk it up to destiny. But does that stop you from trying? It's like, yo, it's something deep in me that's pulling me to this. I feel that, yo, this is the way. So you keep going. No matter what. Because when we go back, look, this is the time. This is how we're spending our time. This is how we're spending our time. Some people are reading books. Some people are, and I'm talking about doing what you want, like not just working whatever your job is, right? That's not who you are. But how you're spending your leisure time, like we all, as long as you're alive, like, yo, we all get that leisure time. And if someone wants to go and chase millions of dollars during their leisure time, and someone I just want to enjoy the game. I just want to watch the game. I just want to watch the fights. Look, I'm good. It's like, yo, then it's good. So it's definitely, let's see, all right, 24 minutes on just rambling. But that's how it is sometimes. You gotta ramble. But bringing it back to fate and just dealing with fate, dealing with destiny, I think ultimately we just end up on, look, whatever you feel that you're called to do, especially in this society, if you're lucky enough to be born into a society that allows you to go about these things, then, you're in a good space, because everyone isn't lucky to do that. Every human isn't lucky enough, because luck is on that spectrum of fate and destiny. If we're talking about where a person is born, right? If you're lucky enough to be born on the board, because not everyone is born on the board. And that can change and shift to different things as your awareness changes. Then that too can then you can see, all right, am I born on that board? So let's say you want to be a football player. There's certain regions, and I'm talking about you want to go to the NFL. There's certain regions, certain places like high schools that a bunch of football players come from. A bunch of NFL, there's a bunch of these NFL cats come from here. And it's just like gold, like a gold mine. So recruiters, scouts, like more and more people are going to be looking in this area. And you'll always have, because this is something that I believe, if there's always someone in the wings, there's always someone ready to take the place of whatever. So we talk about Beethoven, we talk about Mozart. If they didn't achieve a certain level of thought, then it just would have been somebody else. Mozart, he was known and well respected from being like the kid prodigy. Just being this kid who had tremendous musical ability. And his father worked with him. Like his father worked with him. Like his father had to do with a lot of that success that we all attribute Mozart. But he didn't live this awesome, crazy, just all of these fans and all of this money and glory. He didn't live that. He died in obscurity. He died and was buried in a pauper's grave, just a mass grave. And it makes me, just off on a tangent, it makes me wonder, like, what do they do with the people, like, when you die and no one, like, all right, you're poor. You're at the very bottom. You're poor. No one's coming. Like, no one's claiming you. You don't have an insurance policy. You don't have anything. You're just a bum. You're just a bum out on the streets. You're just some homeless guy with no ID, no, you don't have anything. Like, where do they put you? Right? Now, in Europe, during Mozart's time, they had these mass graves. And as people died, they just threw your body in. It'd be a whole bunch of y'all. It'd be 30, 50, 11 people. And they just bury you. And I wonder, like, yo, what do they do with those? Like, yo, you just the bum Tony from down the block. You don't have anyone. Your kids disowned you. They don't even call you dad no more. They just call you Tony. I hate you, Tony. Like, I hope you rot in hell. Right? You just the bum Tony. That's it. You lost your dad card. Man. You die right on the steps somewhere. Let's say you walk to a new neighborhood and you die in that neighborhood. Then what? Nobody know you. Look, I don't know. I don't even know where he came from. I just know one day I was going to work and boom, he was out here. Like, what happened? What do we do with those people? Like, are they selling them? Like, yo, what are they doing? Like, selling them this, because you can't say donate, because are they donating the bodies to science, right? Science is making money then. If they getting all these free bodies. So I wonder, I really do. What do they do with the people who don't have family, they don't have insurance, nobody's gonna pay for their cremation, no one's gonna pay for their burial? Like, are they just storing them? Like, where are they storing all of these people? Right? I wonder. But that's what happened to Mozart. But we believe that, you know, he was just this big superstar, right? Just big. So despite him pretty much dying in obscurity, dying like a nobody, like people really didn't know who he was, the music still went on. Right, and later on, someone went back and brought to the attention. They brought it to the people. Hey, look, we had this great musician of this era, and go look at him. And just like the artists, like, all right, they found Picasso, and we talk like everyone knows how quote unquote revolutionary and just genius Picasso was, but if we didn't find him, like, yo, art would still be going on, and somebody else, like other people, would have done and have done those type of things even without him, and that's how it is for everybody. No matter who we look at as the outlier, if they never became an outlier, it would just be somebody else. It would just be somebody else. Like, there is nothing truly special. And this could be a flaw. This could be like flawed thinking. But I mean, you can say that about any thinking, really. I mean, any way that someone could argue for or against, like, it's all the same. Like, it's all the same. Just like fate and just like destiny. Like, you're gonna have people argue for it, you're gonna have people argue against it. But we all are trying to understand our place, trying to understand who we are, trying to understand where we are. Like, where are we in time? We believe that it's 2022. But every so and so years, through carbon dating or through other means of timekeeping, we find that we go back even further. Right? We used to believe that it was just 6,000 years. And we find proof that it's been even before that, 30,000 years, 200,000 years. And it's like, man, so where are we in time then? Because our lifespan is so short compared to our imagination. Our imagination is infinite, but our lifespan is minuscule. In either direction. Like our imagination is infinite, all the way to the big bang. Like we've come up with ideas that happened, quote unquote, billions of years ago. But even our ideas of the Earth's age changed. Right? We believed that the Earth was one age and that the universe was another. Then we found out that Earth was older than what we thought and older than the universe at the time that we believed that the universe was. So it's like, well, how does that make sense? How can you be older than your mother? So then that must mean that the universe is older. So then we just push it back, right? So it's all just these ideas that we have, just trying to understand, like, who are we? When are we? Right? So yeah, that's that. Like I said, I really didn't want this episode to be too long, only because I have to move my studio. So I gotta do that and then record. I believe I'm trying to at least do one a day, right? Just building that consistency. So we're gonna call it that. All right. Look, what was this episode about? Who knows? Trying to understand fate and destiny, I would say, is the bulk, right? Which no one can understand it. If you feel like you understand it, then that's good. Like, whether you believe or not, whatever your belief is and your understanding, whatever that is, like, it's good. Like, that's good. Because we're all here. We're just ordinary people. We don't know which way to go. Now, of course, we have a lot of things going on in the world that we could talk about. But look, man, there's other people talking about that stuff. You're going to hear about Ukraine. You're going to hear about a real thing that's been like, the Cain Velasquez thing. Like, that's been crazy. So there's a lot of stuff, but just fate and destiny, whether you believe or you don't believe, it's all like, no matter what you believe in, it's going to be the same. It's just different words to convey the same meaning. That, look, go out there and live your life. Try to obtain whatever it is you want to obtain. You want to start that lawn care business? Like, try to start it. Keep trying. Like, just keep trying. And hopefully you get on the board. Hopefully you get closer to the bullseye and just keep going. Hopefully, if you don't make it, hopefully you've inspired your kids or inspired someone to keep going and they get to it, right? Based off of the win that you've provided. Did you ever know that you're my hero? So, Reese's PCCC.